Hello and welcome to the Bankers Masterclass series, sponsored by Infosys Finacle, looking at how the industry can reimagine banking to better serve customers. I'm Joy McKnight, editor of The Banker, and with me in the studio is Sanat Rao, CEO at Infosys Finacle, which provides digital banking solutions. Thanks so much for joining me, Sanat. In the first chapter, we're going to look at the technologies being deployed in this great transformation. So Sanat, maybe let's take a bit of a step back. What do you think are the main challenges for banks when they're trying to serve their customers in this market environment?
Firstly, thanks, Joy, for having me here, and it's always lovely to catch up with you. Your stress on the current environment is appropriate because things have changed so much in the last couple of years that the answer to this question 3 years ago would have been a little different from what it probably is right now. So I think in terms of challenges, there are, of course, aspects of the business which have been there for a while, whether it is banks which are caught up in this conundrum of how much they spend towards making change versus the compelling need to keep spending more and more money towards maintaining their existing legacy systems. There's obviously this growing pressure on banks, if you like, in terms of the generational change into what customers are expecting. And last but not the least, there is, of course, competition coming from all sides. And I think there was a point in time where banks thought that regulations were there to protect them, but I think it's fairly apparent that regulators, in fact, want to see competition. Regulators want to see an environment where customers like you and I have the choice of best of products and services. So I'd say there are a lot of these challenges which banks continue to face. But, we are speaking now in October 2022, and I think most of us would hope and pray that we've seen the worst of COVID. And therefore, if we look back at the way I think all of us have worked and operated in the last couple of years of COVID, and the way the banking industry itself has transitioned to a COVID environment, I think the biggest challenge for a bank is managing the challenge of expectations, whether it's from customers, whether it's from stakeholders, whether it's from management. It's been proven that technology is not a deterrent. It's been proven that there is a completely different way of working, and one which I think it's fair to admit none of us anticipated prior to COVID. So I think the biggest challenge for the banks right now is the challenge of expectations.
But what kind of technologies are coming to the fore to help banks really improve that customer experience and deliver on the expectations?
There are, of course, many technologies, and I think some of them have matured, which were there before COVID. Some are relatively new. And of course, every week, every month, you see something new coming up. If I would sort of categorize that, I think there are some technologies which are still elusive in terms of reaching scale and making a difference. And if you look at that category, blockchain probably would be one such, where I think the jury is still out on whether it's really going to be a technology that's going to make a difference or whether it's going to be one of those that doesn't quite live up to its expectations. There's, of course, a whole host of technologies on the digital front end. And I think given the kind of space that they operate in, it's very apparent that providers who are providing those technologies are operating in very niche areas. I think the two that I would really pick out are, one is, of course, anything to do with AI. Because I think AI has not yet been fully exploited in financial services, and there's still a long way to go there. The second is something which I think many of us have gotten quite used to without, I think, even so much as noticing it, which is embedded finance. When we go online and we want to fulfill a transaction, and we reach the point where we have to make a payment, no one thinks twice. It just happens. And I think embedded finance is going to really see a lot more potential. So I'd really pick out AI and embedded finance as two areas where I think there'll be a lot of excitement going forward.
And you talked a little bit about sort of the legacy technology that the banks are dealing with. But, really, what could a modern technology stack really deliver in terms of this customer experience for the banks?
I think the one word which was oft used in the past but not necessarily deployed was the whole platform model. And I think we're seeing increasingly more number of examples in different parts of the world. Of course, some of them have come from non-banking institutions, but who are offering financial products. And I think we're going to see the platform model simply because the platform model, I think, allows technology to be leveraged to make something available at scale and to make it available in a completely different manner. So let me just explain that. I'm going to pick an example which has really, I think, startled everyone by its scale, which is Paytm in India. It was born as a mobile wallet and as a bill payments provider. Eventually, they began offering a variety of products and services around e-commerce and banking. Today, it's become a super app to embrace all of these offerings. And I think when they set it out, they really had very big ambitions. So the ambition was really to change the digital lifestyle of over 500 million Indians, which seemed unimaginable at that time, but history has shown that they've done that. I think in the first 18 months, if I'm not wrong, they signed up to something like 42 million customer accounts, which is almost the size of the UK population. What they've done is that there are multiple gateways, payment gateways, and their gateway is the largest in South Asia. And I think they put through something like 500 million transactions a month. And they've really gone on the basis of open technology. So I think the technology from day one was meant to be interoperable. They recognized that they wouldn't necessarily have the capability to build everything in-house, so they made it open. They collaborate with some of the large institutions, banking institutions there, to have jointly created products. They leverage analytics and data extensively in terms of how they reach out to customers. And I think the underlying principle and philosophy is make it simple for the customer. And that's so very different from a bank offering a product or service. And I don't know, sometimes we tend to associate the product delivery in a certain manner with a bank vis-a-vis a new age financial institution. But Paytm has really made a big difference there. So I think that's a great example of an institution that was born with the intention of leveraging open banking and open technology. They had scale in mind, and they've demonstrated that within a short period of time. But most importantly, they've made a big difference for the customers.
Well, thank you so much for your insights, Sanat. And thanks to the audience for watching. In Chapter 2 of this Masterclass series, we're going to be looking at how to drive better engagement.